Hey guys, welcome back to Release to Craftin'. Priscilla here for day 6 of the Art Witch August Challenge. Priscilla and Smokey here, obviously, the guest star scene stealer of my show. We are doing a goddess, and the challenge for today is neutrals slash pastels. I went for primarily neutral colors, and wanted to go with the traditional neutral brown colors, because I hadn't done anything brown this entire time. The whole challenge has been very colorful and very bright and vibrant, and I was like, alright, if we're bringing it down a little bit, I want to bring it down to brown. Such a weird thing to say. Why would you say that? But it rhymed, so here we are. So what I have, because I've been determined to use up stuff in my stash, is a bunch. I have a bunch of this like little handmade paper that's really textured. It has a lot of fun textures to it, but I almost never use it because it's just not the first thing I reach for. But because I wanted to do a bunch of browns, I decided to take some of the ones that were white and ink them up with some Distress Oxide so that they would be the right tones of brown. So I'd have a nice like range of browns, but also I like the added texture and sort of layers of color you get by applying the color on top of textured paper as opposed to just using a paper already that color, because there's a bit of a variation here as opposed to like some of the others which are just one for one that color. And then the only reason I added the water to it was to get the color to move and sort of saturate the paper really well so that it wasn't just sitting on the surface. And I think it worked. It definitely helped those colors sort of blend in and sink into the paper better. And then what I ended up doing was going through and just cutting up all of this paper into a bunch of random whatchamadoodles, squares and rectangles. Those were the words I was struggling to find. So that I can turn this into sort of a patchwork paper pieced thing, because I do love paper piecing, and I definitely did a bunch of that yesterday, but I wanted to continue the process. This one a little less fiddly because it's just randomly placed for a fun like little patchwork effect, because we're going to use this paper to make something else really cool, and I think you guys will like it. I will say I have been loving this challenge. It's definitely forced me to think outside of the box. I've done some things I have never even considered I would do. The color challenges are challenging, but not so challenging that they're impossible. Just, you know, a challenge, a little bit of a workaround was needed. My brain had to flex a little bit on what I was going to do here, and I've definitely been loving it. I know that some people have been making some pretty cool things, so I love that too. And I will say though, we only have one more day of the Art Witch August Challenge left, and it makes me a little bit sad, because as much as I love these small, like, isolated, enclosed, whatever the word for it is, challenges, I hate to see them go. You know, even with the Goblin Mode challenge, I was not ready to let that go. Once it ended, there was definitely a hole in my heart, and I feel like the same thing will happen this time, where I will be bereft at the loss of this particular challenge, which is very dramatic, but you know what I mean. So what I'm doing right now is I'm cutting out some heart templates, so that I can cut out some hearts. So I need one heart, one way, like one big heart, and then one slightly smaller heart. So I'm going to do that by making out a very skinny shaped heart, and then using that as the pattern to make the smaller heart, so that they're both relatively the same shape. So the layout is the same of them, but they're two different sizes of the same heart, essentially. Theoretically is what we're going for. And then I'm going to cut through this, and I'm going to tell you guys, use your strong scissors for this, because that handmade paper is thick and it's a little bit hard to cut through if you don't have really good scissors. These were not the best scissors for the option, like for this option. I probably need to sharpen these scissors, because I've had them forever and they struggled a bit, but it is definitely manageable. You're gonna have to use your strong hand though. So we're just going to cut these out, and I believe after that we go ink up the edges. I don't remember. I spent most of this project fighting with Smokey for camera space supremacy, and I lost. You can see I lost, because he was here the whole time. And yes, so we ink them up so that they're nice and framed, and then they're distinctly visually distinct. Oh my gosh, I have no words anymore. They are visually distinct from each other. Words are really hard. That is trademarked. I want to put it on a shirt. I'm not going to, but yes, maybe one day when I have more subscribers, but not at this point. So now they are visually distinct. So now you can see them. They don't blend into each other because before they were the same color on color. So having the little demarcation line there makes it a little bit easier to see. And then I believe that we are going to back them eventually. But first, I decided to get this little bit of lace that I have, this little scrap. It's like a curtain. It used to be an old curtain. This little scrap of lace to be our hinge, because this is going to be like a little fold-out tag sort of situation. So I'm going to use this really old, blown-out Fabri-Tac, which I struggle with on a daily basis, to glue in this lace, and then just make sure that everything lines up the way that I want it to. And then since I already have the Fabri-Tac out, I'm going to use that to back the paper down. It's not really necessary because the lace is stuck in there, but I already had it out, so that's what we're using. And I just want to make sure that I get it to the edges so that it is properly backed. For whatever reason, I don't trust Fabri-Tac, even though I use it for everything. So, like, I don't know why I was so concerned that it would not properly back onto this craft paper, but it did. It was fine. And so, just be careful if you are using a fabric little hinge or paper hinge even, when you go around to cut your backing out, that you pull it very tight to the edge, like really flush to the edge, so that you don't actually cut off your hinge, because that would be unfortunate. And I honestly was bracing myself to do that here, and it didn't happen. So, like, round of applause, pat on the shoulder for me, because I didn't do the thing that I was afraid I would do. And then, what I'm doing here is sticking the back side of the hinge to the other tag and making sure that it lines up the way that I want it to, because it's going to be locked that way. It'll be its final form, and the rounded edge sort of makes it a little bit perilous, because it might shift during the gluing or adhering process. So I just wanted to be like extra sure that everything was exactly where I wanted it to be. And then we're going to back the big heart piece as well. And I'm just surprised that I didn't cut my camera out or cut this out of the video when I edited it, but here we are. It doesn't take that long. We're not going to be here forever. I will say you probably could wait till it dries to cut everything out, but I didn't do that, so we're fighting through the glue to get to this, but it works. Also went back and inked around the edge of the inside just to sort of tie everything in together and to like make the inside, the writable spaces, look a little bit more polished. Because they look unfinished without the Distress ink, I think. But yeah, you guys tell me in the comments, what's your favorite project been so far? What are you looking forward to? Have you been trying these out? Are you learning anything? Hopefully that's a thing. And you guys are following along. This is a little image of this sort of Victorian looking woman. She's not really Victorian, she's just retro, from a book I have called the Polaroid book. And she gives me sort of ancient-y, old-timey vibes, so I thought she would work really well as the central goddess figure. She's in shadow, and I think that little play of light works really well. I understand that the background is orange, but I think it looks really good against this brown, so I think it works. I think we're still keeping in our neutrals because it's not a very vibrant orange, so I think it works. I'm going to use some more of this handmade paper. This one has some old flowers in it. They're brown now. I don't know what color they were originally. That's how long I've had this paper. To emboss out a moon. And I'm using the liquid platinum embossing powder from Ranger, because that is a very neutral color. It's like a sort of pearlescent, not quite white, not quite silver color. It has some brown undertones to it, is really what I'm thinking. Like a nude color undertone. I don't know how to describe it. It's not platinum, but it's definitely a different color than my other metallics would be. So I embossed that onto there. Where the flower petal was, the embossing ink didn't really like take to it, but I went back over with an embossing pen and was able to get it to pick up that final edge for the moon. So it worked out just as fine. It was a little bit concerning, but it worked. And they embossed really well, so that was another like perk of that. And then I just ended up backing the lady so that she wasn't on a little floppy piece of book page. She had a little bit more body to her, so she'll stand out from the page itself. And then I think, yes, I go back and add in some sparkly liquid platinum elements to her as well. So we have some of these moon phases. And that was just me fussing about where the moon phases should go. Because I want her to look like a goddess even in this like setting, and I think it's a little bit maybe on the nose a little bit in particular, but I think it works. It definitely gets like little moon goddess Diana kind of vibes, and I think that works for what I was going for. I want it to be sort of the standard goddess without being any particular goddess in general. So I think adding in the little moon touches really works. Plus I like shiny things, so it worked on top of that pretty well. But the card ended up being staticky, which again is a lesson you think I would learn, but no. So we had to brush away a little bit of the excess, but it wasn't a big deal. It works out just fine, and I'm really happy with how this project came out. I think using the liquid platinum was a really good pick for it, which is surprising because I haven't used it in forever. It's been sitting in my stash unused for quite a while, so bringing it out was a good choice because I'm very happy with the effect that it gives everything. It's like somewhere in between silver and gold, but also a very muted color in between there. So like I just don't know how to describe this color to you guys. I wish I had better words for this color. It's like grayish gold. Grizzled. That's what it is. So I'm adding the moon phases, the little triple moon there to the front, because that is the symbol of goddess. And then I'm going to add our little goddess to the inside, and I think it's really cute. It looks very homey up against our little patchwork background. So it's giving like domestic goddess vibes a little bit. But I love it. It's a really cute tag. It really came out really great. So definitely come back tomorrow, guys, for the final day of Art Witch August. And I will see you then. I appreciate your faces. Happy crafting, guys. Bye.